One thing that has come up, of course, also is the notion that a way to address this would be to allow players to go directly from high school to the NBA. And in fact, the NBA has proposed once again lowering the age requirement for the draft to 18. That would impact the college game, of course, in a variety of ways. What would be your perspective on going back to that?
Well, I hate this response I'm going to give you because it's another one sitting on the fence kind of thing. I have no problem with guys going out of high school. The NBA, that is their rule for them to go to college for 1 year, and it's helped them. They don't make as many mistakes. LeBron James did not make a mistake. Kobe Bryant did not make a mistake. There are a ton of kids that did make a mistake trying to go before they're physically mature, before they're ready. You know, a 6'10" guy's playing against 6'3" guys all the way through high school. How do you project what he's going to do in the NBA? There is no perfect rule. I don't see a problem with anything. We'll adjust and adapt to what we're doing, but you know, it's the game, and we meaning college basketball have served as the farm system for the NBA for many years. They make better decisions after a kid plays in college for 1 year, 2 years, 3, whatever it is. But there is no perfect rule. I mean, LeBron James has done okay. Last time I looked, he was still making a few baskets and winning championships. But I do think that probably more kids make mistakes than it goes easily. But at the same time, heck, there's no perfect rule. Tell me again, what do you want to do, and let a kid do it.
And finally, Coach, I'll go back to your team. You know what a championship team looks like. You're playing extraordinarily well right now and got the huge win the other night. Does this look like one of your teams you think has a chance to be there at the very end?
Well, you were being very kind to me in the opening because talking about how well we shot the ball, how well we rebounded the ball. You forgot to say that we can't guard our lunch. So we've got to get better. We got to get better on the defensive end of the floor. And if we do that and stop turning the ball over, we do some other things that are pretty good. Now, we didn't shoot it worth a darn against Duke the other night, but we've been a good shooting team. And the other night we shot, we just didn't make them. But we have a chance to be one of those teams at the end of the year can be in the mix, and every year there's probably 10 to 15 teams that could legitimately get on a 6-game run, and that's what I'd like to do every year is have my team one of those teams that has a chance. But we've got to get a lot better. I'm telling you, defensively, it's just a matador defense. We usher you to the basket as much as anybody ever has. So we got to get better on that end, I promise you.
Coach, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you doing this here this morning. Thank you so much. Best of luck the rest of the way. We'll talk to you right before the tournament starts. Thank you very much.
All right, Michael, I like you guys' show. You guys do a nice job.
Thanks, Coach. Roy Williams, North Carolina. Great to have him here.
Oh, thanks, Coach.
Let's go back. Yeah, he's a you know, look, I've known him forever. Let's go to one of the things that he talked about there, which I think is worth pointing out. In life, we cannot always prevent people from making bad decisions. We do know, however, that if we allow kids to go directly from high school and declare for the draft, there will be some who would have had the opportunity to go to college and get all the things that brings who will not get that opportunity. That is, I don't want to use the word collateral damage, whatever it is. It's the law of unintended consequences. So how much do we worry about that, and what do we do to prevent really bad decisions from getting made and it having a really negative impact on people's lives?
You would obviously hope that they're getting sound advice from advisors, agents, the people that are around them that would give them some good advice.
But are we confident
let's assume that that's not going to happen,
yeah.
right? Okay, here's where it's changed from the last time that this rule was in place, which goes back to 2006. Now you have the G League. So now you do have an opportunity. Okay, so you don't get drafted necessarily you're not playing in the NBA, but you can sign as an unrestricted free agent into the G League and have a chance to develop there. There is more opportunities overseas as the game continues to become more and more globalized. And so for me, I think, look, it lessens the blow when you have guys like a D'Angelo Collins who made a poor decision coming out of high school and wanted to go to league and never got drafted. He got left by the wayside and didn't have the opportunities.
So the video you're seeing there is of players who went directly from high school to the pros and had great success. What you're not seeing are all the guys, of course, who did not. So, David, I know this is something that is very near and dear to your heart. What are your thoughts on that? The notion that there would be a lot of kids who might get bad advice and might make bad decisions.
I'll make a point of saying that for guys to go into the NBA to become professionals, they want to go into the NBA. They don't want to go in take a step in the G League and have their introduction that way. There's some pride and a sense of pride of being drafted, being a part of that night where you know you're going in, a team really wants you and they draft you, whether it's the first or second round. That's an important piece of this. Obviously it comes back to options. I'm going to stay with that. We want to give these kids an opportunity to pick We don't want to have to send them one way or the other. There are a lot of kids that aren't going to make the NBA, but they want an opportunity to have a professional path. And I think that's what's most important.
And I try to always make the distinction between the score of the game and the game of life. And we can't discount that basketball and sports does put you on a path to actually be educated.
Right.
That does mean something, regardless of how good you are at sports. That does mean something. However, when you come out of high school, you should have the option to choose. Now, let me tell you what's not being said in any living room for a young person that's working on their game. I can't wait to get to the G League.
Right.
No.
It's not.
Nobody's saying
baseball
that.
players saying, I can't wait to get the minor league.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's just pump the brakes. Everybody's not Zion or RJ or Cam Reddish or Ja Morant, who people weren't talking about this time last year.
Yep.
A guy like Ja Morant used college to propel himself and improve as a player. So it's going to be interesting to see the number of people that make sound decisions, but of course there are going to be a lot of horror stories.
People make bad decisions even after they've spent years in college.
Yeah.
Tyler Davis, who was at Texas A&M a year ago, could have returned and had his jersey in the rafters and would have been one of the all-time greats in that program and led him back to the NCAA tournament again. Instead, he declared early. He's not even on a basketball team right now. So you can't prevent people from making mistakes.
Right.
If they want to make a mistake, you're probably going to make a mistake.
And the one thing, too, guys, there is value in a scholarship. I was recently talking to a former women's basketball coach in college. He said that he had them crunch the numbers just to find out what each player on his team was benefiting just to have the scholarship. Over $150,000 per year was basically how they calculated those numbers. So there is value in what people are getting from their scholarships to play. I understand it's not paying them the money that Zion could make, but if we're talking about the everybody else's of the world, that's where you do get benefits. You do get money.